This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go. Welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast. It is great to be here with you. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And man, we have a phenomenal episode for you today. That we're going to have special guest, Brittney Robert with Pelican State Pageants, that on here. And there's a lot of different things that we're going to talk about. There's so many great subjects that what Brittney can help teach us today. But before we get into that, got to give a quick shout out to all of my sponsors. We got Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Wayne with 7K Metals, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. Look, all of their contact information, it's listed below. Hit them up, tell them Coach Clark sent you, and they do have some special pricing for my listeners. Also, if you're looking to get in touch with me or connected with me, maybe you just like what you're seeing so far. Look, hit that subscribe button. Get those notifications so you can stay on top of everything. You can also reach out to me and stay connected with me via all social media at Coach A. Clark. So Coach_A_Clark, or via my website, www.aaroncoachaclark.com. And I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. But what you are all waiting for, Brittney Robert, owner and director of the Pelican State Pageants. She's the former Miss Louisiana United States in 2005 and finished top 5 at the Miss United States in Washington, D.C. She was a sensation for the New Orleans Saints in 2005, the honeybee dancer for the New Orleans Hornets in 2007, Miss Louisiana for America Strong in 2022, and then received the Fitness Award at the Nationals in Las Vegas, Nevada. She's emceed or been the mistress of ceremonies for pageants, productions, and other events. She's a certified yoga instructor at Yoga Studio 90. They has been doing that for right at 7 years now. Currently the office manager at AirServe in Baton Rouge. And she is part of the membership committee with BNI Premier of Baton Rouge, while also serving as the member relations specialist. So let's get connected with Brittney. And welcome to the show, Brittney.
Hello, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you hopping on, especially, I went and read all of your resume, and I mean, good night. If I didn't have that college degree, I don't know that I could have read all that, girl. So, tell that. There's a lot of things I could talk about, but let's start with Pelican State Pageants. Tell me what is that? How did y'all get started? All that good stuff.
Absolutely. Pelican State Pageant was an idea that I formed about 6 or 7 years ago. I have been personally competing in pageants since I was 16 years old. It's not anything that I did as a child, but something that I gained an interest in whenever I reached high school and well within my teenage years. So therefore, I've been a competitor through several different pageant systems from 16 up until 2 years ago. I've seen the pageant world from different perspectives. As a contestant, I've judged before. I've been an MC or a mistress of ceremonies for several different pageants and productions and past pageant events too as well. I've been a coach. I've been a mentor. And so I've also, within all of those roles, I've been a pageant title holder myself. So when accomplishing all these things, towards the end of my pageant retirement, and it was time to kind of just hang up the crown and put up the pageant shoes. I didn't want to get out of the industry. Louisiana has always been a great place for the pageant industry. We have what we call the Fairs and Festival system for Louisiana Association of Fairs and Festivals. And that just goes ahead and puts emphasis on all of our fairs and festivals throughout Louisiana. Well, for that system, each fair and festival has a queen. And that queen at the end or towards the end of their reign will go and compete for what we like to call the Queen of Queens pageant. So I was able to do that too as well. That's kind of how I got started. That was my first title. I was your 2005 Miss Gonzalez Jambalaya Queen. And so that started my journey, right? But towards the end, and I'm getting off track, but getting back to answer your question and to explaining my story, I have been in situations where I didn't feel as a contestant or as a title holder that I had that person in place as a good director or as a good mentor / coach to guide me to where I needed to be to move on to my next level of competition. And generally with most pageants, whenever you do win a title, that is generally your invite or your position to advance to another level. And so therefore, I felt as a past title holder that I didn't have that person in place to give me the proper coaching or the proper skills to bring my best self to that national level of competition. So I saw a need for it. Louisiana used to have a lot of preliminary pageants for the Miss USA system here in Louisiana. Years ago, whenever I used to compete, we had several different prelims to choose from. There was Miss New Orleans, that is no longer a prelim that is available for girls to compete in. There was Miss Baton Rouge, that's still an option. Miss Lafayette, that is still an option too as well. But the other prelim pageants had fallen off. And so there was not really an opportunity for girls to get that practice, to have someone that is basically on their side, on their team, to help bring their best package to the state level, which was Miss Louisiana USA. And so I had a vision. I brought it to life. And I chose that year, the very first year, I did not have a pageant, but I wanted to bring 2 girls to the Miss Louisiana USA pageant. So at that pageant, I can have that name that they would represent, Pelican State. And so that's exactly what happened. When my 2 first title holders went to compete for Miss Louisiana USA, everybody was saying, what is Pelican State? Did you win? When's that pageant, right? And so it sparked an interest. And so that following year, when it was time for them to give up their crowns, that's when we had our first production of Miss Pelican State. And so Miss Pelican State is a pageant in place. We have 3 different age categories. The pageant starts for girls at age 8 to 14, which is considered our preteen division. Then we have our teen division, which can be from 14 to 18, depending on your date of birth. And then for your Miss division, we have 18 plus. And so here recently in the Miss USA division, Miss USA pageant, they took away the age cap. So there is no age cap for these women to compete. Therefore, you can be 50 years old, you could be married, you can have a child or not. You could have been pregnant and be a single mother. Funny story, Miss Texas USA, I believe it was last year, they had a contestant that was 72 years old.
That's really cool. She
competed in all phases of competition. She rocked it. Her body was phenomenal, but her confidence level soared, right? And it's really sweet to listen to her because she was interviewed. I mean, that's the first time you've ever seen a contestant at that mature age to compete for pageants, especially in the USA system. And her story's very sweet. And she said that it was on her bucket list. And so she was able to check that off. So that's why we're here. This is why Pelican State was created, to give that message out to girls, to teenagers, and then to women of all ages, no matter your situation or where you are in life, that if you have a dream, if you have a purpose, or you want a purpose and you want to fulfill your dream, if you want to get involved in the community and you want that opportunity for doors to open for you, we invite those eager women to become a part of the Pelican State Pageant. It's a fun program. We are a family-based organization. I keep in touch with all of my past queens, and it's really something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy making relationships with these girls. I help them throughout their year of their reign. We have a retreat every year. The winners get 2 photo shoots that are sponsored by myself. We have a lot of hair and makeup sponsors that are involved in that photo shoot. For example, the photo that you just referenced, that was our program photo shoot for the 2025 pageant. And we were able to host it and have it downtown Baton Rouge. So this is actually on the steps of our old governor's mansion, I believe. No, Old State Capitol.
I'll say Old State Capitol or
yes, that's the Old State Capitol. And the landscape was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. The girls had a full day of glam, hair and makeup. I provide their outfits. I provide their accessories. And so it's just a day where they can truly feel like a queen. They are pampered. They are taken care of. And it's just a really good day also, too, to team build with one another and just to enjoy our time. And so that day is also gifted to them to get pictures for our new program. And so now we're planning for our 2025 pageant. And like I said previously, I just enjoy the relationships that are built with these girls. And it's great to see what they get out of it within their year.
Yeah. No, and I wanted to make sure I shared those 2 pictures. Those were 2 of my favorites that you had sent me. And I think it just kind of really showed the unique perspective of the wide range that you guys have on in Pelican State Pageants. Mm-hmm. So now one that you did all right. So you talked about wanting to get in that coach and mentor, the Queen of Queens. So how does that work? So how does like the Queen of Queens work? Like if you win that, where do you go next?
So the Louisiana Association of Fairs and Festival Queen of Queens, essentially she is the queen of all queens, right? And so that convention actually took place just last weekend. And I am very excited and honored to announce that the Gonzales Jambalaya Festival Queen took the title home this year. And that festival means a lot to me because, again, I was your 2005 Gonzales Jambalaya Queen. That's my hometown festival. I support that association. I support the pageant that is ran every year to select a fine woman to represent our festival and our association. And it's important to have a good young lady in that role to go throughout her reign and to promote the Jambalaya Festival, right? So what now it means for the girl that just won, and her name is Gracie Guillot. She is from Gonzales again. And what's going to happen now is that her reign for the Queen of Queens, we call it LAF. Louisiana Association of Fairs and Festivals is called LAF, right? So if I reference that, that's what I mean. Her reign started last weekend for LAF Queen of Queens. And so therefore, she's going to hold this title for a whole nother year. Within holding this title, though, she's still technically Gonzales Jambalaya. That is going to be given up in June of 2025. The Jambalaya Festival is in May. It's always held every year, Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
Which she will be at that festival. But she will also be the Queen of Queens / Gonzales Jambalaya Queen reigning at the festival, and then she'll give up her Jambalaya title in June.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So, because we have a lot. I don't know how many. I can't count that high. But we have a lot of fairs and festivals here.
We have plenty, yes, throughout our state. And so what she will now do as Queen of Queens is she's got a list of fairs and festivals that she is required to attend throughout her reign to just continue to promote the Louisiana Association Fairs and Festivals Association. She is basically, look at it as she's a walking billboard, right, for the association to help support those fairs and festivals, to bring on new fairs and festivals, to have those fairs and festivals that might not have a queen or a title holder, or a fair and festival that may not be involved with LAF, get involved with LAF. And that's ultimately going to be her job for her year. And it's an incredible honor. I was very excited to see her win this year. It's been a long time coming for Jambalaya Association to bring home that crown.
No, that is awesome. And then, so you mentioned that you got started in the pageantry world at 16. Now, just kind of making probably some broad assumptions here. That seems like a late start.
It is. You're correct.
In that world.
Yes, it is.
So when do most get started in pageant world?
Sometimes you'll hear girls say that they started as a child, younger teens. Because, for example, Pelican State starts at 8 years old for the preteen division. That's actually our most popular age category. A lot of girls at that age are eager to compete. Their moms are eager to get their girls involved because that's a very good age for girls to start developing. Maybe they're shy. Maybe, they're getting into that tween ages, right? That little sweet spot right before they get to their teenage years. And pageants truly will just help girls grow into their skin. And for myself, when I was a child, I was more concerned with taking my dance lessons. I was very tomboy, so I played every sport imaginable. I was very, very involved in our city softball league, and so we played that year round. I played it every summer. I was on tournament ball. We traveled with it. So my parents were very busy with the softball world and then with dance world too, because I did dance competitions. And so pageants for me as a little girl was never truly a thing. Like, I watched pageants on TV and I was like, oh, that's, maybe one day, blah, blah, blah. But it was just not anything that could fit our schedule at the time, right? And so sure enough, I was in high school and I had a friend that was Miss Teen Gonzalez Jambalaya. And I was like, I want to do that. What does that entail, right? And so I remember going home and I was like, Mom, I want to do the Gonzalez Jambalaya pageant. And she's like, baby, Mama doesn't know a thing about pageants, okay? What do we got to do? Like, does it cost, I don't think you got a dress. Like, I needed an interview suit. I needed a dress. I needed to get my hair and makeup done. I didn't have a clue. I couldn't put on lipstick if you paid me because I was so like Umbro t-shirt and shorts, playing outside with my boy cousins every day, like being the roughest girl around, right? And so sure enough, we borrowed a dress from a friend, borrowed an interview suit from another friend, and my mama found a hairstylist in Gonzales and got my hair and makeup done. I was so awkward on stage. I didn't have a clue of how to model. I'm pretty sure I tripped on stage, but I was so excited to be there. Like, it was a fun experience for me. And I remember walking off the stage and I was like, my dad was like kind of nervous to ask if I had fun because I lost, right? I clearly did not win. And he's like, baby, you had a good time? I was like, that was so much fun. I want to do it again. And he's like, baby, you lost, right? I'm like, yes, sir. And I want to try again. And so I did. I tried the next year and the next year and the next year. I kept losing, right? And I just kept back. I was very, very persistent. And sure enough, the very last year that I was eligible, considering my age, because in fairs and festivals, you cannot, it might have changed since then, but at the time you couldn't be over 22 years old to hold a fair and festival title for the Miss category. Yeah. And so I had just turned 21. And so that was my last year to compete and I won. So it was a very bittersweet story on how I got started in the pageant world. But yeah.
And And that you had me laughing when you're like, and I didn't even know how to put on lipstick because I'm like,
No.
hold on, I've never seen Brittney not uh, dressed to the nines, like
Oh,
always put together. So that was
yes.
just funny to hear.
I was a
At
tomboy.
16,
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't do it.
If the
And
boys on the street wouldn't let me play, be like, listen here, I got a knuckle sandwich for you. You better let me play. Or it's going to be bad news bears for you, man.
no, and that's awesome. And then you said something that I really think should resonate with everybody is even though you lost, you kept going, you kept doing, you kept trying,
Yeah.
and that's what I think is so important as you go through and do this. That because I'm about to share this up there. I know we put this together, but as Brittney kept going and she kept doing, she did. She got the opportunity to compete in all these
Oh,
cool that
yeah.
represent Louisiana. That in hold on, which one was the Miss United States pageant,
Yes.
and then the Miss U.S. United States Strong. That I
You
mean,
were close. So the picture on the left was for the United States system. And I was in the MS division, which meant I was an older age category at the time. The one in the middle, I was Miss Louisiana for America Strong, and that's another pageant system that I'll touch on here in a bit. And so you're right. I feel that I have a very persistent mindset. When something is extremely important to me, I work and I work and I work until I accomplish it. It's very hard for me to quit anything. I was raised by a great father who had an amazing work ethic, and he said, if that's important to you, you work at it until you get it. And we never quit anything in our family. If we wanted to try out a new sport, for example, and we didn't like it kind of midway, my dad's like, we're going to finish out the season and we just won't do it next year, And so I have the same mentality. No matter what it is that I'm working on, or no matter what it is that I set forth for myself, I'm going to go at it 110% until I get the absolute most out of that experience. And so getting into pageants, I was so determined to get the most out of that experience. And so I wanted to get to those national levels. Well, how was I going to get there? Okay, do I need a coach? Do I need to, work on my interviewing skills? What do I need to do to get that sharper edge to win out of all of the other well-deserved contestants that I was competing against? And so I had that mentality with the Jambalaya Festival. It was, again, a festival of my hometown. It meant a lot to me. And at the time and at my age, I wanted so badly to have that title and to say that I was, on the list of queens that have held that title until this day. It's still very important to me. And so I worked at it until I got it.
yeah, and I'll say a lot of great points. And guys, if you're enjoying what you're hearing right now, make sure you click on that subscribe button, get the notifications, all that jazz. Subscribe so we can continue to keep bringing you more great content with great people like Brittney. And one that she mentioned was talking about having and going get a coach. Let's talk about that a little bit. How would that value or how would that be adding value to you in that system through the pageant show?
So, when for pageant contestants and for girls that compete in pageants, there are a lot of people, myself including, that have coached girls to just sharpen their tools in the box, right? So I looked at it like this. I knew that I was a good competitor. I mean, I had won titles before. So I knew I was doing something right? But I wanted to get to a higher level. And I knew that in order to do that, I needed to do something different. I needed to do something that I wasn't used to doing. And so I had to get out of the mindset that I got this. I've won a title before. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then I took that mindset, and I still use the new and improved mindset to this day, that there's always something new to learn. Every single day, there is always something new that we can gain from someone that'll, improve what we're doing in life, whether that is personal relationships, with your friends, with your family, with your business, with your career, what have you. We can always do better and be better, right? And so I sought out a pageant coach. His name is Brian Applewhite. He is a great person, and he taught me a lot of great things at the time when I was prepping to go to the National Miss United States pageant in Washington, D.C. And as Miss Louisiana United States, I went to him. And even though I had won my state pageant, I just knew that there were things that I needed to improve on. And this was my very first national pageant experience. And so I wanted to bring my very best to knock it out of the park for nationals. And he helped me with interview. He helped me with wardrobe choices. He helped me with the way that I was modeling, because I thought that I was modeling all the right ways, but he taught me just how to use your silhouette and, the cute little turns to do, what would catch a judge's eye, and showing more of your personality on stage. And it was very, very helpful, because when I went to the national pageant, out of 55 contestants, I was honored to get top 5 at that national pageant, and was able to take home that top 5 placement.
Yeah, and that is awesome. Huge congrats to you on that.
Thank you.
First of all, even just being able to get to go, being the Miss Louisiana United States. But also, I want to applaud you too, because you said, I got to be better. If I want to win, I got to be better. And so that's something that everybody, I don't care what industry you look at, that everybody who's somebody that is successful has a coach. My favorite, yes. I love Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had a coach.
Yes.
So I love that you went and did that. And it's cool because the whole definition of a coach, which came from the town of Koch in Germany, is it's a device that helps you get from point A to point B. It helps carry you somewhere. And that's all a coach does.
Yes. And you're absolutely right with that.
To where you want to be.
Yes. And that's ultimately what I'm doing now too with the Pelican State Pageant, is that I hope that even the contestants, even the girls that come in to experience our program and our organization, and in the event that those contestants don't win a title with us, I still want them to leave better than which they came, right? I want them to always leave with that impression of Pelican State Pageant experience was so much fun. Y'all need to go check it out, and just be that word on the street for anybody else that's looking for an organization to go compete at, right? And so that's ultimately what I'm trying to accomplish here.
Yes, and so because you'd mentioned it, that what's the word I'm looking for? Like, how many girls do you have that are in the organization currently?
So currently right now we have 5 title holders. And of those 5 title holders, we have our preteen Pelican State, we have our teen Pelican State, our Miss Pelican State, our MS Pelican State, and MRS Pelican State. So those last 2 titles that I mentioned, the MS, it just basically means that at the time that she competed, her division catered to single, unattached women.
Yes. And is that this picture? Just making sure.
That's one of them. Yeah. So Ms. Pelican State is to the very far left. So at the time that she competed, she was single, and she's a single mother, right? And so at the time that she competed for Pelican State, she fit that category. Then in the same photo to the very far right, we have our MRS Pelican State. And the only 2 things that separates those 2 categories is that, of course, MRS Pelican State is married, right? And so now, with that being said, this year we're only going to honor and offer 3 divisions. So I'm essentially taking away those 2 categories, and that goes back to the reasoning that the Miss USA organization took away that age cap and included more situations for women to be involved. Therefore, you can have a child, you could be married, You don't have to be married, and you can be older. So being that the Miss USA organization is including those other category of women, we no longer need to specify those two divisions, because any woman 18 and older, and it says it right here, married, divorced, single, and with or without child, can compete in the Miss Pelican State Pageant.
Nice. And so now the teen division, so you said you got your preteen and teen. So where does preteen end?
So their age category is going to be between 8 to 14 years old, depending on their birthday, because the confusing part of it is that the teen division can start at 14. So I sometimes have contestants where their birthday will fall right on that line. And so at that point, we give them the option, say, hey, look, you can pick which one you want. We always suggest those girls to move up in that age category if they can, because we always, moving upward and onward, right? And so that's what we encourage.
Gotcha. Now, what is that cutoff for, or the age? They're the date cutoff. Sorry.
So the age cutoff is going to depend on when the state pageant is going to be. And so for preteen and teen, preteen, I don't usually see us running into a problem with it. But for teens sometimes, because sometimes their age can also run along the borderline of, am I going to be in teen or am I going to be in Miss? And sometimes girls that fall on that borderline are maybe not quite prepared to move up into the bigger girl, the older girl category, and they might be a little intimidated. And so they choose to stay in that teen division again. But again, it's going to depend on their birth date and depend on when the state pageant is scheduled, because by the time they make it to that state pageant, they have to fit in the proper age category for that state pageant.
Okay, so it's not like my kid races motocross, and so they go whatever your birthday is on January. So however old you are, January 1st, that's your age. So if your birthday is on January 2nd, and you're trying to race in the 10-year-old division.
Oh, okay. I see.
You could turn 11 and you're technically still racing in the 10-year-old division.
It's a similar concept.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was like that, or
mm-hmm.
I didn't know if it had like a solid date, like, hey, it's September 1st, or.
Well, yes and no. And I say that because, again, it's hard for me to provide that answer for you right now, because the state pageant for Louisiana USA has not been yet scheduled. Okay. So when we know that date for the state pageant is when we'll be able to determine that cutoff date for the age. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it would be based off of that. So
that's correct. Yes.
Let's say it's January or June 6th. Let's say it's June 6th. So if I turn 18 in March, I move up to the Miss category.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Just wanting to make sure that I understood.
Yeah.
I know all of my viewers, they totally got it, but me.
But I'm glad you double checked for them just in case, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, and I mean, it did the same thing with high school athletics. So a lot depended on which I thought was goofy, because it was what it was on September 1st. And then I was like, but we start school on August 1st. So why, whatever. But yeah, we could go into, I mean, either way, you just got to pick a date. So I like, that's all I was asking on that.
Yeah, sure.
And so now how long has Pelican State been in operation? Sorry, good night.
So
I couldn't get that out.
No, that's fine. So this is actually going to be our 7th year for the organization, but our 6th year for our production. And the reason why I say that, I'm going to, take us back to whenever I was explaining how it was started. So the first year that we started, we didn't have a pageant. I picked 2 girls from an application process. And so that first year we didn't have a pageant. So technically for the entire organization, this is our 7th year, which I'm very proud about. No, because I feel like I just started this yesterday.
No, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's why because I thought I'd heard you say that you started it once you quit, when you finally hung up and retired. And I was like, but
Yeah.
she said that was 22. So
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
Very good catch there. Great catch, by the way. So I thought I was retired.
okay.
And then I had a friend that was like, you need to do this pageant. And I'm like, at first I was a little nervous that there would be a conflict of interest being myself as a pageant director and being a pageant competitor at the same time. But truthfully, I think I'm having a hard time with my words here, but I think it just helped do what I was doing, right? and so like I was able to use what I was prepping myself for my own competition for my girls. And so I feel that it was helpful in both ways, and they supported me and I supported them, and it was just great. It was just a good experience overall. But you are right, and that's a great catch. I was retired, but then I hopped back in for just a short time.
Yeah. No,
Fun.
and that's why it did. I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that throughout. I was like, all right, I felt like she had said she'd been doing this for a while, but she said it was when she retired. Retirement happened in 2022.
That was a good catch. Good catch.
I mean, I'm not that good at math, but I knew that was more than, or wasn't more than 7 years ago.
Right. You're right. You were right.
Oh, geez. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
No.
And so other things that you do, because I know we're kind of hitting close to time, but one, I knew I'd thrown it out in your intro, that is you teach yoga.
Yes.
At Studio 90. Yoga Studio 90, not
Yoga Studio 90.
Yoga Studio 90. And so I'm going to pop that up on the screen for everybody. But also, just because you see her in the pageantry world, just know this next one, she's a beast. Holding that side plank right there. Huge props to y'all. I started doing yoga recently, and I know how hard that is. Yoga and Pilates.
Well,
that's hard.
It is hard, but I am very proud to be a part of this business. April Hill started this business. Over 13 years ago. It's our 14th. We're either on 13 or 14 years. And it's not your typical yoga studio. It's not a boring class. I promise you will not fall asleep in our classes. We are doing burpees. We are doing squats. We are doing strength training. We are working out with the weights, and we're doing push-ups and all the hard things, but we're also focusing on those yoga poses, Pilates movements. We are focusing on mind, body, and soul, right? And so the kicker, though, is that all of that is done in a very heated and hot room. And when I say heated, our minimum temperature is like a sweet 87 degrees. And in our Louisiana hot summers, that humidity will make our heaters not read correctly, because you can't go like above 90 degrees with our HVAC system in our heating space, right? We love it. It is a love-hate relationship. Our members keep coming back for more. I have seen so many people with past injuries just get their health back, get back on track with their fitness, mold and shape their bodies into like the best shape that they've ever been in, myself including. I've always really been into fitness, and I had a friend of mine tell me to come to a yoga class about 7 years ago, because it's been about 7 years that I've started doing this, and I almost ran out of my first class. It was so difficult. And look, I was a gym freak, right? And I used to run marathons for the hell of it. I enjoyed marathon running, and I was like, oh, of course I can come do this. I was like so humbled. I was like, oh my God, this is awful. I went back the next day. I went back the day after. I was so obsessed with how I felt after the workout. And so it was great, and I encourage everyone to try it. It was absolutely a great experience, and I love that I'm able to be in a role now where I meet new people. I meet people where they are in their journey for their health, and I'm glad to know that we're we're on that journey with that person to help them improve wherever they want to be.
Yeah. And I was about to say, and I'm pretty sure, you should know somebody that can help you with that heater when it doesn't want to work, right?
Right. Right. You would think. Funny you say that. So I also work for Air Serv of Baton Rouge. I am their office manager, and I help with leadership too as well, helping grow a small business with the owner of the company. And it's a very rewarding position. I absolutely love my job. But we don't need Air Serv's help because we purposely want it to be hot.
Well, I
And
mean,
it's really, really
to
funny.
make it hotter. To make it
Yes.
hotter.
Well,
Somebody should be able to fix that, right?
and look, it's so funny too, because like during the summer, my our HVAC techs that works for Air Serv, they're like, wait, you do this on purpose? Like the room's this hot on purpose, as they're like dying in the summer heat, right? Doing installs and maintenance and service. And I'm like, yeah, I do it on purpose. Y'all get paid to do what you're doing. I do it on purpose, right?
Yes. And it is good. I mean, because that's what I do. I go through hot works. And the benefits that like how you feel, just notice even how like my skin looks. And I'm not a very vain person on that, but just you can feel the difference of that, just sweating out all those toxins that are in our body.
Goodness, yes. I feel bad when I'm not able to get to class.
Yes.
It helped me in my pregnancy. I was my little girl just turned a year old, but I was still teaching when I was pregnant, all up until I reached about 7.5 months. And when I couldn't touch my toes anymore is whenever I went on maternity leave, right? But it helps pregnant women throughout their journey with pregnancy, and even in recovery too as well, postpartum. We have a member that's like 75 years old, and she is our walking billboard. She talks very highly of us because it's the way that makes her feel. And she's like, without Yoga Studio 90, I don't think that I would be in the health that, I'm in. And she speaks very highly of us. We love her. She loves us. And we have a lot of men that come to our studio too as well. We work with the local universities and a lot of high school athletic programs too as well. And so we enjoy it. Everybody who comes in, we're very open and inviting to everyone. And so we invite anyone who's ever interested or has been interested, come check us out.
Yeah. And you won't regret it, guys. I absolutely love it. It's doing the hot yoga, Pilates, you name it. It's awesome. It's something I never thought I would see myself doing, because, me, football player, we lift weights. Yeah. It really, and it's more like Brittney was saying in that first one that you do, and they're like, all right, now go to this position. You're like, how much longer are we holding this? And they're like, you only been in it 10 seconds. You're like,
exactly.
Oh gosh. So it is an awesome experience. And so, Brittney, as we're kind of winding down, one of the things that I do like to focus on is that, books, like in such the leadership roles that you're in, I believe all leaders are readers. So what's a book, maybe two, that you think all people should be reading?
Should be reading as far as leadership. One that I've read before it's called Extreme Ownership. That is a book with that touches on 2 Navy SEALs that had an experience overseas in Iraq, leading a team over there, and it was very strenuous. It was very hard on them, but it also goes to show too that leadership at any level is a very important factor, whether or not you are leading a team, whether your team succeeds or fail, right? And so that leadership is very, very important, and it touches on that. That's a great book to read. Another one funny enough, it's about another Navy SEAL, David Goggins. I think majority of people have probably heard about him. If not, I highly suggest you check this guy out. He is an absolute monster, and he will motivate you to literally do anything. I fell on him whenever I was in my marathon running, training for my marathons, and it's, I will pre-warn you that he's got a little sassy mouth on
Yeah,
him.
I was about
And
to say, yeah, don't watch it around the
don't
kids.
watch it if you're
I
listening
was
to an
like,
audible book, right? He's very mouthy with the language, but he
I mean,
puts it in
he's
perspective
a
for you.
SEAL. He's a military guy.
He's a military guy, and he talks about adversity and where he came from, and what he's accomplished in life, and what he does now, and how he motivates people. And so it's just a great book, and he cracks me up because he's so intense. And
Hmm.
I kind of feel like I can be an intense person at some time, so it's just motivating to hear him speak.
Yeah,
You
I
need
would
to
say
check it
just
out.
kind of watching some of his videos too. That's when I bought it. I'd had somebody else recommend it, and so that's actually my next read. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's a good
uh,
one.
but I have to imagine it's got to be close to like Tim Grover's Relentless. So I don't know if you've read that one.
I don't think,
Phenomenal one,
no.
one of my
I'll have to
favorites.
check it out though.
That was Michael Jordan's personal trainer.
Okay.
So, oof, he's got some stories in there about
Yeah.
good old Michael and Kobe. So he
Yeah.
coached Kobe
Oh
Bryant,
yeah.
and he was his trainer as well. So good stuff. And then
Hmm.
what are you listening to or reading right now?
Um, coincidentally, I am reading Chesley Chris's story. She was Miss USA 2019. She unfortunately passed in January of 2022. Um, she suffered from mental health. Let's just put it like that. For the most part, women and girls in pageants are very familiar with Chesley. Her book is called By the Time You Read This. Um, so her mother actually finishes the book for her. Um, she did lose her life to suicide, and her book is just, it's been incredible. Bless her heart. She's a lot younger than me, right? And it's so fascinating to hear her experiences competing for Miss USA. She was Miss North Carolina USA before that, and her journey to get there. She was also a very persistent person. Chesley, I'm sorry, much a perfectionist. She's an overthinker, like most women are. But she was just very passionate in every single thing that she did, and it's really comforting to hear her talk about what she went through, because she was, first off, she was Miss USA. What an honor, right?
Right.
That's like the Super Bowl of pageants. She had a fashion blog. She was an attorney. She practiced pro bono work, and she was able to accomplish a lot as within all of those roles and those jobs that she held, right? After she became Miss USA, she went on to compete at Miss Universe, so she also had that opportunity to experience. But she finished out as a entertainment reporter for Inside Edition. And so on the outside, you're looking at this young lady and you're like, oh my God, she's accomplished all of these things, and she's on top of the world. And at the time, I think she was only like 30 years old. So she was very young, had a huge life ahead of her. And she just didn't think that she was, she just got, entangled in depression, and it just consumed her. And so I encourage people to take a moment and to read this book, because I like to talk about mental health. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. But I think that the most thing that most people are scared to talk about it is maybe they're not aware of it, or they don't have the knowledge of it, or they're scared to say anything. But majority of people that you meet in life that you envy and that you're like, oh, I wish I had their job, or I wish I had their life. Take a step back to appreciate what you have going on in your life and what you've accomplished as a person and human being, because we have everything to be thankful for. We're here on this earth. If you haven't found your purpose yet, I promise you God's got a plan for everybody in this world. And that's what she touches on. She was very strong in her faith. And she talks about that she gives majority of her thanks to God. And she knew that because of him, most of her accomplishments were not obtainable if she didn't, it was his plan, right? And so I haven't finished it yet. I'm still going through it, but it's been a great book, and she was a great person. I had the opportunity and honor to meet her at Miss Louisiana USA a couple years back. She was a judge, and even though she was a lot younger than me, I was extremely starstruck that she was there. I was able to go up on stage and actually have a conversation with her, and she was so personable, and she was so kind-hearted, and I truly enjoy meeting people that are just so sweet and just, it teaches you how to be a better person. She is teaching me with her book and her story, just how to approach that dynamic. And so it's a great book so far. And I really think that men and women should read it, not just girls in pageants. I think it's a nice read.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Brittney, if the fine listeners want to get in touch with you, how do they reach out to Brittney?
Well, Pelican State Pageant, we are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We also have a website, pelicanstatepageantorganization.com. You can also reach us by email at pelicanstatepageant@gmail.com. So there are several different ways that you can reach us. I encourage everyone to check us out on our social media platforms so you can see the activity of our organization and our current title holders, and to get caught up on all of our updates for our 2025 pageant.
Absolutely. And guys, that will be listed below in the description. And you can click on any of those links and it'll take you right to Pelican State Pageants website, email, Facebook, maybe even their MySpace. Or I might be the only person that still has that.
No MySpace.
No MySpace.
No.
Okay. Darn. Well, Brittney, I appreciate you hopping on and sharing more with us about what all you do, how you've led and mentored and coaching and inspiring so many people.
Thank you. I appreciate this time. I really do. Thank you for having me.
We'll definitely have to do it again. What an awesome episode. Wasn't Brittney fantastic? And I don't know about you, but I took a whole lot of stuff and notes. I mean, I got a couple pages full of notes right here from Brittney. Phenomenal episode. And just a couple of key takeaways that I want to go through and talk about. And so now Brittney really talked about how important it is to get coaching. It's essential for not just contestants, but in her industry, she was talking about contestants to be able to sharpen their skills and improve their chances of success. That this is something that you and I need to make sure that we do as well. If it's important for professional athletes and people participating in these vital, huge competitions, how important is it for you to be doing this in your own personal life? And then we talked about the importance of persistence when you're facing challenges. That was one thing that I picked up from Brittney over and over and over again. That was she didn't quit after the first try. She didn't quit on the first try. I mean, imagine if she'd have quit after her very first, as she said, disastrous jambalaya pageant. And then we talked about how personal growth comes from, with her, came from competing in her pageants. How it really is there to help these young ladies to develop, and really people of all ages, because until today, I didn't realize that there was that many different level divisions of pageants. It was really cool to learn that and to know that this is helping the people who are participating to grow themselves and become better versions of themselves. We talked about how leadership is about taking ownership and responsibility for your team's success. And then we really capped it off and closed it with being able to appreciate your own journey, okay? And so, guys, if you're looking for leadership or personal growth training or coaching, it could be for you, it could be for your team, an event, reach out to me. Look, I've got all of my contact information up on the screen. You can reach me on my website, coach.a.clark.com, or on all socials, coach_a_Clark. And look, it also is listed below in the description. And remember, guys, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Keep growing, keep leading, and keep innovating. And until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.